Welcome to RhapsodyCast, third episode. I'm Matthew.
And I'm Nate.
As I said, welcome to RhapsodyCast. I haven't mentioned it, but I think our name's interesting. It comes from the Greek term rhapsody, meaning an oral portion of an epic story or poem, and then cast, shortening of podcast, of course, so that it shows that Nate and I bring you an oral story every week. And I'm glad you're here for the third episode.
Yes, thank you.
We'll get to the stories in a minute, but I'm thinking, Nate, why don't you tell us any cool things you did this week?
I played an hour of Final Fantasy V.
Final Fantasy V, that's pretty fantasy. That goes with the theme.
I worked, watched some movies.
Any cool movies?
I watched Machete Kills.
Machete, good series.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's super off the rails. It's insane.
Did that affect your story?
No, it didn't. Like, it was weird. My last story, a lot of stuff that I was watching and like doing and stuff, it was affecting it. Like I saw my fiance was watching Vampire Hunter D, and I was like, I'm gonna put one of my racers as a vampire king. So,
yeah, Valak, he was a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. He's a dog, so he's super cool. But yeah, this one I didn't. Oh, you know what? Actually, I completely lied, because this one I'm reading a Fable book from the video game Fable.
Yeah.
Written by Peter David, and that kind of affected it a bit.
Well, Peter David will affect you like that. He's amazing.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I have a boring life.
I don't think that's true. Okay, point taken. I also, I don't know, I feel like I have a boring life, but I mean, anytime I tell anyone, they're like, you're doing a million things. That's not boring.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm used to my life moving at a million miles a second.
Mm-hmm.
I watched movies, most of them with you, because that's how we do it. We watched Sleeping Beauty, because I'm going to go see Maleficent here soon. We watched the new Conan the Barbarian movie.
With Khal Drogo.
Yeah, Jason Momoa. Which was pretty fun. It was really brutal.
Yeah, it had good moments and bad moments.
A lot of those things. Both of those things. My story was already done by the time we watched that, so thankfully it wasn't at all affected by it.
Would it have been more brutal and barbarian-esque if you watched that after or before writing?
I don't know. Like, I tried to do a lot of lore-building elements, and I involved, like, demons in my story, and I feel like that movie had a lot of good demon ideas to it, like with the tentacle mask and the crazy sorceress ladies.
Yeah.
Like, that might have made their way into my story, but I guess thankfully didn't. I don't know. Like, Sleeping Beauty might have even affected it some, had I watched that before writing. That's one of those things when I'm writing, I try to avoid just any other creative thing.
Yeah, I'm the exact opposite way. I'm always searching for something to help me write because I suck at writing.
No, you're just different. You have a different process.
Yeah.
In high school, when I was writing, probably the most I've ever written, other than right now, I would actually forego reading for class until I finished whatever story I was working on.
Oh man.
Which, I never got behind because I read really quickly because I've always read. But, like, yeah, I remember getting really upset because, like, the deadline was reaching for the book Kindred, which is, like, a weird slavery modern-day time travel novel.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I need to finish this story before I start Kindred, but I have to have Kindred finished in a week from now, But I managed to do both, but I think I stopped writing for months after I read Kindred just because, like, I don't know, it bothered me so much.
Yeah.
Sometimes school's got to take precedence.
Yeah. You know what I just realized?
What's that?
I miss your penguin character from school.
Yeah. Actually, when I started this story, right, the folklore, myth tale. I decided I wanted it to be a world-building story, and I was thinking, like, where is my world? What is my realm? And you and I talked, and I was like, well, we're not on the same world. We decided we're not on the same world, which, the great guys over at Fantasy Fiction, they both created a similar podcast. Well, we created a similar podcast to theirs. Theirs is on the same world, Justrum. Really interesting, but that's not for us.
Wait, what's their world called?
Justrum.
That's a mouthful.
It's only known to the wisest of wizards. They mention it in their Feast of Ages short episode. They say that's not what the people on their world called it, but they didn't tell us what the people on the world call it, so that's the only thing I have to go by.
Okay.
Yeah, if I sound a little knowledgeable in fantasy fiction podcast, it's because I listen to a lot of podcasts. Between my hour commute to work and my 3 or 4 hours a day at work that I can listen to my iPod, I listen to 5-6 podcasts in a day. So I've listened to every one of their episodes multiple times. I've listened to Continue Cast and the Ross Report, which is a podcast by Jim Ross, the famous wrestling commentator. I've listened to Nerd Poker with Brian Posehn. I listen to podcasts. It's a thing that I love to do. I think I like listening to other people talk more than I like to listen to music most days. So even though my iPod's filled with music more than podcasts, I probably listen to podcasts more.
It's good. It keeps your mind going.
Yeah.
You're thinking more about other shit instead of, the same songs that you probably heard too many times.
Yeah, totally. Because with those hours, as I mentioned, I still get plenty of time to listen to music on top of the 4 or 5 podcasts.
Right.
So, yeah, they're on the same world, Justrum. Nate and I were discussing, we decided we weren't going to be on the same world. So I was like, well, am I going to create a new world, or am I going to delve into one of my old worlds? Because I've been writing for 15 years now. So
I've never created a world before.
I've got worlds that have lived and died. I've got, histories written out to, 1 million years in one world.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the Dungeons and Dragons world, because every Dungeons and Dragons game I've played for the last 14 years have been on. 17 years. Have been on the same world. Just each one is in a different time, and so I've got the creation, the genesis of that universe, all the way in to not to the end of it, but to the end of 1 or 2 in it. But I decided not in the D&D world. That one's kind of got a special place where it needs to have the interactions of other people in order to be. So I said not in that one. And I considered my old Cinemaride stories, the ones with the penguin.
Right.
And I left it open enough in this story that it might be set in the same world. But I didn't say yes, didn't say yes, didn't say no. I wanted to leave me that in if I wanted to.
I'm not being coy about it at all. I'm just like, this world's called this, and then there's this and this.
You should be aware of Tarantino.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I did, and I hope it works well.
All right.
Okay, so why don't you say we get to the reading portion of our podcast?
Right. Alright, my story on assassins and myths is called Grizzleby the Assassin.
That's a good name for an assassin.
Yeah. Mordith, the king of Lynchdom, looked out upon the battle raging in the distance from his castle tower, his brow lowered with disappointment. How goes it, my king? The king turned and saw the lizardman From, the court jester. I named my character From.
Yeah.
And it's spelled the exact same way as From. So it's kind of weird.
Oh, that's gotta be weird to read.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
Not well. A battle rages within view of the castle, and it appears our forces are slipping. Those bastards from Andermeyer aren't letting up. I see.
That's the desert realm from the previous story?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. They had a cool national anthem.
Yeah. Yeah. I see, From said, lifting a bottle of wine from a nearby table. He started to pour the wine into 2 goblets. This does not bode well for our country. No, it does not, the king said. Your Majesty, have I ever told you about the tale of the creation of the lands you now rule? From, this is no time for your stories. Please, let me explain.
Like, this guy's a court gesture, but he also just knows the history better than the king?
He likes to tell stories.
Oh, I like storytellers. Trying to be one myself.
He's trying to lighten the mood.
That's cool. I like it. You know, I mean, it's nice to humble the king. I mean, sometimes they're on their lofty towers and they don't know things.
Right. I mean, he's too in what do I want to say?
Engrossed.
He's engrossed with his war that's raging below him. Please let me explain, From begged, handing the king a goblet. It may lighten your mood. All right, go ahead. Thank you, my lord, he said. Somewhere in Tarantinia, long before the age of men, when the world was ruled by lizard folk, lived a lizard man named Grizzleby. Grizzleby was the world's greatest assassin. At the time, of course. Again, this was a long time ago, so many greater assassins have come and gone, probably.
Like, assassinating back then, it was just like a pillow. You just needed to smother the guy. Like, now you got, like, super ninja poison dart skills, you need to be able to, like, lower a thread from the ceiling.
Not quite.
Oh, okay. I watched too many kung fu movies.
Yeah. Anyway, Grizzleby was really awesome. He could probably kill a room of 40 guys without anyone noticing. In fact, I heard once that he took out a snow giant by freezing him to death.
Wow, that's brutal.
Grizzleby wore a skin-tight black outfit, a headband, double katanas strapped to his back, and the world's coolest sunglasses. He never turned down a project, big or small. Although, truth be told, he enjoyed the big ones more. The more dangerous, the better. Yeah. Wizards say that there are some people who just need to be in danger to feel normal, like you or me, and that seems legit, but...
it's like I got some medical advice on the minds of people from the wizard. They're totally a sane group of people.
Wizards in my realm act as scientists.
I can see that. I mean, it's kind of how it goes.
Yeah. But what is for certain is Grizzleby lived for the thrill. For his skills, he was handsomely paid, but he never spent more than he needed. He only cared about his work. Killing. Killing was his work. Just to be absolutely clear.
It sounds like a Boba Fett, a fantasy Boba Fett. Like he's not gonna waste that money. He's just going to keep accruing and killing. Yes.
Well, he ended up donating most of his earnings to orphanages all around the world.
That's
but
weird.
Don't be fooled. For if he was ever given a contract to kill every last orphan in Tarantinia, he would complete it with pleasure.
Nice. I like someone who's devoted to his work.
Yeah, man. It's like all bets are off once he gets paid, and then he'll have nothing to donate to, I guess. I didn't think that part through.
No, you don't have to, because like there's always going to be people pumping out orphans.
Right.
That's a thing. They just do that. So.
Yeah. That makes sense. All right.
I feel like your stories have had some anti-baby themes recently.
Oh. I didn't even think of that. I mean, a little.
No. I was mostly making a joke, but I think it works. It's fun.
All right. Grizzly was sitting at his favorite bar, drinking water and eating crackers. He liked going there because they never charged him for his meager meal. I guess he's a super cheapskate.
Yeah. But I mean, like, he's donating his money to orphans, so it's not like, you know, he's like, I need to save up for, you know, my vices.
Yeah, no, I don't know. He's a cool dude, kind of, maybe.
That's interesting. He's a cool assassin, but, like, not in, like, the Joe Cool, like, I'm a sweet assassin, but in, like, I'm a really nice guy with a heart of gold.
Kill. A man in a dark cloak sat next to him at the bar. Grizzleby the assassin, the man asked. Hey, how's it going, buddy? Grizzleby perked up and slapped the back of the stranger. Good. Hey, so I got a big pile of cash I want you to see. It's out of my horse. That's cool, Grizzleby said, sipping his water. Grizzleby smiled. Lead the way. The two walked outside. You are the great assassin Grizzleby, yes? Taken aback by his cheerful demeanor. Yep, that's me. There's no one I can't kill. Excellent, the man sneered. A large man snuck up behind Grizzleby and covered him with a sack. However, Grizzleby was the world's greatest assassin, so he cut the sack open with his sharpened nails. He then proceeded to stab the man who tried to capture him, and then turned his bloodied katana on the stranger. He took off his sunglasses to give the stranger some intense eyes. What is all this? He asked. The stranger gulped. Well, we were, gonna be sneaky and whatnot. We didn't have any money, so we figured we would force you to do our little job. It's refreshing to hear such honesty. Why didn't you ask? Grizzleby sheathed his blade. I'll do any job for any price. I just love my work. The large man fell to the ground, bled out, and died.
it's like, yeah, I'm cool, I'm Happy Grizzleby, and it was like just gore and violence.
Yeah. Well, that's good, said the stranger. Sucks about Henderson, though. Anyway, we've got a job for you to do. I've got 3 copper in my pocket. Will that work? Sure. The stranger flicked the 3 copper over to Grizzleby, and he threw 2 back into the entrance of the bar, landing right in the tip jar, and then pocketed the last piece. So what's the deal? I am a member of the Cult of the Hill. Grizzleby rolled his eyes. As our sect believes and knows to be true, there is a being named Corpo living beneath the earth we stand on. A being of such might and power that if he were to wake, he would surely bring doom upon us all, sending the unbelievers into the depths. We want you to awaken him. Yeah, but wouldn't that kill me since I'm an unbeliever and all that? How could you not believe in something you woke up? True, but how am I supposed to wake this monster under the earth? Come with me and we shall travel to the exact center of the earth. The two of them... Yes, he knows it.
Nice. The magic wizard.
Told him.
Yeah.
He was doing some studies.
Yeah,
anyway.
Scientists.
The two of them rode for days until they reached the exact center of the world.
Wait.
Well, what?
Like they like on the surface or inside?
No, like on the surface. They're on the surface.
They're the exact center of the surface of the world.
Yes.
Okay. I thought they were like just riding their horses to the core of the earth or whatever.
No, that would be kind of awesome, but no.
Okay.
Well, we're here. Okay, here are the instructions. See you later. The stranger handed Grizzleby a scroll and then quickly escaped. Grizzleby looked around. Aside from a grand hill, for miles he could only see a desolate wasteland. Nothing grew here, so it was completely unpopulated. No one even came to visit as there was nothing to see. Alright, let's see these instructions. Grizzleby read, Number 1, stand in the exact center of the earth. Number 2, chant saying, Come on out, you big baby. You shouldn't be hiding when we could be hanging out. Don't be a big dumb jerk, you big dumb jerk. I've got a candy. In fact, I've got like an entire Happy Meal for you.
Wow.
Come on, your brother won't be hiding all day. He's off getting an education and making a good living. And you are hiding away in your little hole. Doing what? Nothing. That's right. You're worthless, you ass.
Wow, this took a turn.
Number 3, run away. Grizzleby chanted the saying, and as he thought, nothing happened. He looked up and saw the large hill with a formation of 5 pillars of rock. Maybe I'm not in the exact center, he thought. He climbed to the hill and stood on the center of the formation and chanted again. The ground beneath him shook, and the 5 pillars began to rise. The 5 pillars took the shape of the 5 fingers of a hand. The hand rose to form an arm, and the arm formed a body. A rock giant rose from the earth, clutching Grizzleby in his hand. The ground cracked on all sides, splitting the great continent into 3 equal portions, and sent the new continents on divergent paths. The eastern continent became Smithdom, the western became Andermire, and the northern became Lynchdom, your home, my lord. The jester finished his stories. Whatever happened to the assassin and the giant from... He did what assassins do. He killed the giant and fell into the great ocean. The king bowed his head and furrowed his brow and stared into his goblet. They heard a sudden crash. The king looked through the window and saw a sea of Andermire soldiers storming the castle. The king took a sip of his wine. They say the assassin survived, my lord. You don't say. The king fell to the ground dead. The amphibious jester picked up the crown and placed it on his head, laughing maniacally. He dragged the king's body to the window and threw it into the sea of warriors below. Army of Andermire, bow to Grizzleby, the new king of the joined kingdom of Andermire and Lynchdom. The crowd cheered. The end. Whoa.
How old is this guy?
He's old. He's an old dude. Maybe.
Wow. That's nuts.
There's a lot of stuff that happened in between this story and what happened just now.
Yeah, I like that you did a mixture of like history and modern history. Like you got the bits of the current events and bits of the past events.
Yeah,
it's world building.
I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, the rock monster from the center of the earth broke the one huge landmass into 3 equal portions, and so those are the 3 main continents of Tarantania.
Yeah, I like it.
So
that's cool.
And and now the assassin Grizzleby is the king of 2 of them.
Wow, he is amassing power.
Yeah,
I hope.
which is a complete character change from his story.
Yeah, but I mean, if he's been like assassinating for 1,000 years, maybe he's tired of assassinating.
Yeah, there's
or maybe he wants to assassinate the whole world, you know? Maybe someone gave him a contract. You need to assassinate the whole planet.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I can't wait till we do.
All right.
All right. Alright, so my story, from the prompts of myths and the last great war, I titled The Lorbrarian's Lesson.
Ah, that's a way better title than anything I probably could have come up with.
I like Grizzleby.
Grizzleby the Assassin.
I like Grizzleby, he's cool, so that was a cool name.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today we are going to discuss the last great war of gods and demons and man, as well as the sundering of South Rock. As with our previous sessions, if at any point you have a question, just chime in and I will answer as concisely as possible. As you know, last time we discussed the Vale of Mists, from which our land of Mistvale derives its name. The sundering of South Rock directly preceded the forming of the Vale. All accounts suggest that the 2 major events were separated by no more than 1 day. Librarian Valeria! A young voice's voice exclaimed as she paused to take a breath. I missed last week's lesson. What's the Vale of Mists? Librarian Valeria smiled. A difficult question to be brief with, she explained. But perhaps it is a good place to begin. Besides, a little bit of review will be good for us all. Our land, of course, is known as Mistvale. The name comes from the Veil of Mists that surrounds us. The Veil of Mists is an impassably high and impossibly strong magical storm that encircles all known land. It has no known holes or passages, and no man has ever entered the Veil and returned with his sanity intact. What about the King of Pranks? A little girl cut in. The Librarian let out an agitated sigh. An all-powerful wizard who devotes all of his time and magical prowess to pranking simple folks for cheap laughs, and claims to have been to lands beyond the Veil, but offers no proof, is not someone I would call sane.
Oh man, I love the King of Pranks. What's his name?
His name is the King of Pranks.
Oh, okay.
He goes around pranking people, but he's like an all-powerful wizard, and so everyone's just really annoyed but can't stop him.
That's awesome.
Other, more benevolent wizards have tried and failed to pierce the storm. Flight magics, teleportation, every attempt, mundane or magical, has met a ceaselessly unyielding barrier. "Maybe someone should try to ask it nicely," the little girl from before stated matter-of-factly.
Aww.
The kids say the darndest things.
Yeah.
The librarian fixed a stern gaze on the young child. "Do not be silly, Susan. We cannot communicate with the veil any easier than we could the clouds or the grass. Asking it nicely is not really an option. That covers the veil as it exists today. The lesson is about the days and weeks leading up to its formation. A few hundred years ago, before our island continent of Mistvale was an island, it was a peninsula known as South Rock. South Rock was not too different from today's Mistvale. Being as large as it has always supported dozens of races and had a vast ecosystem with every type of environment from burning deserts to frozen tundras, wet bogs to skyscraping mountains. South Rock was, at the time, regarded as a microcosm of the whole of the world. This allusion of the larger world is likely why South Rock became the final stand in the last Great War. The war started years before open conflict, when the demon alchemist Ajuajin created the first emolisk. An emolisk is sort of a crystal pillar that absorbs emotional energy, particularly pain. The energy was then used to power weapons and machines of war. Can you imagine, children? A weapon designed to inflict pain that also would get stronger the more pain was inflicted? It was truly a terrible time then. After a few violent campaigns, man and elf, ogre and goblin alike were all destroyed by the overwhelming wave of demonic might. You see, the gods of the age were fairly hands-off. But after the demons started their onslaught, many deities empowered chosen disciples, granted them immense divine power. Had they known the demons' true plan, perhaps they would have done much more than that. You see, children, the demons' plan was not to destroy the world, or even to wipe out the races that live here. Our world is simply a means to an end. It always has been. The true plan, the goal of the Demon King Message, was to sever the symbiotic bond between the gods and our realm, weaken the gods, then destroy them. The war raged for years. Sometimes the demons gained ground, other times the divine aspects, those champions empowered by the gods themselves, would force them back. Countless beings, of every race, died throughout the war. Demons and dwarves, orcs and trolls, no one was spared. Though the countless races of the world failed to unite under one banner, the demonic threat did bring the oldest of feuds and prejudices to a temporary truce. After a few years of conflict, the demons had stored plenty of energy, and then built their deadliest, most infernal machine yet. Message, the Demon King himself, led his largest, most powerful army of demons on the peninsula of South Rock. This massive show of force, combined with the appearance of the largest, most powerful war machine, finally caught the direct attention of one deity. Venus, the god of power and mercy, realized the Demon King's plan to destroy the connection he shared with his followers, and personally descended from the heavens with a flight of Valkyries. Well, as for what happens next, you can imagine how first-hand accounts of these events might be scarce. The leading account is this. Message machine fired a pulse into the sky, mostly sealing the gods away from our realm. In his rage, Venus then channeled all of his divine power into the Demon King. This amazing attack killed Message and his demon horde, destroying the Emolisk machine. It burned Venus up himself and sundered the peninsula of South Rock, setting it adrift into the ocean. There are a few different recountings, perhaps one for every race in attendance on that day. Some say that the Demon King's machine backfired, killing him and the D&D as it rended the very earth it sat on. Some tell tales that the Demon King killed the god in open combat, and the death of a true god expelled the energy necessary to wipe out the demon army and send our island continent drifting into the ocean. Whichever is correct, we will likely never know, but the results are clear and undeniable. Mistvale is apart from all other bodies of land, except for the few islands that fell from our shores during the sundering. Demons clearly do not rule our world, and the divine powers employed by the paladins and clerics of the realm are but a faint echo of what they once were. During the war, you see, devout followers of the gods could bring the dead back to life. Now, simple healing spells are taxing and strenuous. Librarian Valeria let out a heavy sigh and paused a bit before continuing. After only one day, the veil appeared. If anything is beyond it, we do not know. No one has ever pierced it from either side. The instructor was visibly tired now. Does anyone have any questions before we dismiss for the week? Why are you not preparing for their arrival? It was Susan again, her tone flat and grim. Valeria tilted her head quizzically, her voice barely a whisper when she asked, What? Little Susan's eyes burned with the knowledge of 1,000 centuries. The demons harvest man like a ripe apple every day, and yet all man does is wallow in his stories of how things have changed. They haven't, and that is why I prank. Susan snapped her fingers, and her features melted and changed until she was replaced wholly by another being. Where the girl had once stood now was a male gnome of roughly the same height. His massive beard cascaded from his face in tumbling layers, reaching all the way to the floor. What little of his face that could be seen was wrinkled and ancient-looking. He wore a purple and silver robe and a matching turban with a red ruby and a massive feather affixed to its front. Prank! The king of pranks bellowed, before disappearing in a puff of white smoke. A child screamed. The librarian turned to calm the startled student, only to find that every child that sat before her, boy and girl alike, had grown a thick, bushy beard from their faces down to the floor. Valeria cursed the prank king's pranks as she pinched the bridge of her nose, attempting to fend off an onsetting headache.
Prank King!
Prank King, man, he pranks. That's what he does. He's got views on the world, and he pranks so that he doesn't have to think about them.
Right.
So, what do you think? Shortest story yet.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
The voice, I wouldn't have used that voice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did it not pick up well, or what?
No, it was just, it was, I mean, maybe it's because I woke up like an hour ago.
Oh, you're falling asleep.
No, I mean, it was just, yeah, a little bit. Like, I get it. Because she's a librarian.
She's a librarian.
Which is a great word.
Yeah? It's like a teacher and a librarian put together, I guess. I made it up, yeah.
Okay. But, yeah, I don't know. It just,
So, it's not a good voice for a teacher to affect, because then she's, like, making everyone fall asleep in her class.
Yeah.
I can see that. I follow. I get you.
But I mean, I love the Prank King. He's the best.
The Prank King will be back. I can promise that.
King. I want Prank King T-shirts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe after a few more things, like, 'cause I came up with the Prank King for another story. Like, I've never used him. I've never written that down. But I had a plan for him. Like, he was supposed to be like a Deus Ex Machina. Like, he just shows up and changes the outcome.
Yeah.
And so, like, that, I don't want to say that's what he's always going to do, but that's what he will do from time to time. Or just show up and be a thing.
Okay.
The Prank King can appear in any story.
That's
like,
cool.
Just be on the edge of your seats waiting for that to happen someday. All right. All right. Okay, that was fun. Good stories.
Yeah.
So for next week, it's your turn to give the shared prompt. What did you come up with?
I came up with a game.
A game.
A game. We're gonna make stories about games.
Okay. Your unique prompt that I came up with this week is a barbarian, because we watched Conan.
That's cool. And your unique prompt that I came up with is a magical form of clothing.
Okay. A game, a magical form of clothing for me, a game, and a barbarian for you.
Yep.
Interesting. We'll make those for next week. We have finally started releasing. We tried to build up a bit of a backlog so that we didn't miss weeks as they came if a problem were to arise. So you can find us on Podomatic, RhapsodyCast.podomatic.com. We're on YouTube under the name RhapsodyCast. Facebook page, facebook.com/RhapsodyCast. We have Twitter, twitter.com/RhapsodyCast. We got them all. Like, if it's RhapsodyCast, it's us.
Yeah, it's very unique, apparently.
Apparently, I'm glad. I was worried because there's been a lot of things called Rhapsody before. Like there's been a band, there's been a musical program, and podcasts are huge now. So, yeah.
Well, to you, I think podcasts are huge to you. And
I
me.
don't. If you go to like iTunes, there are a million, and like the new and noteworthy is changing all the time.
All right.
I don't know.
Because I don't know any. None of my other. I only have like 3 friends.
And none of them like podcasts.
Yeah.
I feel like you have 3 friends, and half of them do multiple podcasts.
You're right.
Like I don't know if you were looking at. You were just like looking at the wrong half of your friends.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah, we got it. If you want to contact us also RhapsodyCast at Gmail for the email, because everything. If you want to contact us personally, Nate's Twitter is at Adolfo Shabadoo. Yeah, I should probably let you say that, but I didn't. And my Twitter is at FridleyScent. All of this will be in the show notes so that you don't have to listen to this part because everyone skips it in every podcast anyway. Except for me, I listen to all of it. I listen until the music starts at the end. So you have anything you want to say, Nate, before we let this go?
No, I'm interested to hear more about the fucking whatever.
The Prank King.
Yes. I'm interested to see more of the Prank King. That guy's gonna be cool.
I hope so. I want people to be interested. And on that, why don't you tell us what you're interested in? Email us, Twitter us, let us know. Anything we could change, any sound issues. We make this for you. Nate and I could write stories of our own time and just not put it out there. So this is as much for you guys as this is for us. So let us know if there's anything we should change, or anything we need to know about, or anything you did or didn't like. So thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good one.
Have a good one.